Pastor McCoy,
Howdy.
let me just first of all thank you for the effect you had on Charlie Kirk. I know he was a sponge, but this man lived his life, and you were there to teach him so much and to help him on his way. And the memorial service, it is a miracle I have prayed for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it, and you played a huge role in all of this, and I cannot thank you enough for what you've done.
Oh, well, Glenn, I thank you and all your listeners. I mean, America honored Charlie, and you're right. The man was a sponge. I mean, he would ask me a question about a specific theological issue, and then the next day he'd be an expert on it. And the longer you spend time with him, you get stretch marks on your brain because he was a voracious reader. He was always learning, and man, and he had such a tender heart for the things of God, and it showed in everything he did. And the world's getting to see that part of him, not the label that the left put on him. That's all being dismantled and dismissed. People are seeing him for who he really was, and it's a real awakening. It's exciting.
So I'm going to put a picture up on the screen, Rob, and it's a picture with Charlie and a pastor in South Korea.
Right.
Can you tell the audience because you were there, what is happening?
So the pastor in the picture with Charlie is a man by the name of Pastor Sun, who is ex-Korean Special Forces. He's married with 3 kids. You know, you can't fake good kids is what Charlie used to say, and his kids are amazing. His wife is amazing. And he pastors the largest church in Busan, South Korea. It has about 15,000 congregants. He was the only pastor to stay open during COVID. They threatened him. They tried to sue him into oblivion by lawfare. And then when they tried to enforce, transgenderism and the whole alphabet soup on the church, he stood in opposition, and millions of people marched in all 5 major cities in South Korea as a result of this man. And so when this new regime took over, they came right after Pastor Sun, and we were in that picture where I'm in the room. I'm watching Charlie standing next to him. Pastor Sun said, "It's likely I'll be arrested." And Charlie said to him, "If you're arrested, I can't speak on behalf of our government, but myself, if you're arrested, I'm going to call the Secretary of State. If he answers, I'm gonna make sure he hears this." And he said, "I'll do everything I can to get attention to this." And Pastor Sun, he said, "Thank you." And he was so grateful to Charlie, and he was so grateful for him inspiring these youth to stand for freedom. And of course, we landed on Monday. My phone blew up, and Pastor Sun was in prison. Charlie called me. He said, "Get me all the information in regards to what he's being charged with, and where he's being detained." I got it all to him. I got the videos, and he said we're gonna feature it on my program. And as you know, a bullet took our friend's life, and I just committed to Charlie in my own heart. I'm going to support Pastor Sun. So I'm leaving Thursday. I'm flying over to take his pulpit because he's in prison, and I'm gonna go there and just contend. And I don't care what they do to me. If the world doesn't wake up, that when you start raiding churches and imprisoning pastors, and South Korea thinks that America will lose 36,224 U.S. personnel to stop the Chinese from invading you and set that 38th parallel, and you're going to do this? You're going to infringe on religious liberty? No. So I'm going over there.
Well, I will tell you that, Build Up Korea was the event that Charlie was attending, and these people are amazing. It's a little tpusa over in Korea, and Mina Kim, who I know, was in my office yesterday, and I made the same commitment to her that Charlie made, and that you just made. and we're going to take care of her security. We are going to watch over her. We're also, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we need to raise $1 million to just, because they lost all sponsors. Everybody just walked away because everybody is afraid of this new regime. This new regime is really bad. They've opened up the borders, and all these Chinese illegals are coming into Korea. They're just destroying Korea and turning it over to the Chinese. And it's becoming very, very anti-American. Not the people of South Korea, but the government of South Korea. And they are attacking the churches because that's what communists do. They have to destroy the church. And, you know, there's another story today in Europe that there are places now in Europe you can't get to Bible Gateway. You can't read the Bible online. It's hate speech. And they are closing down scriptures in Europe, of all places. This is sweeping the world.
It is.
And
it is.
And as I was talking to Mina, because I wasn't paying attention to what was happening in South Korea, and I thought they're surrounding us. It's a noose. They are surrounding us. And if America doesn't wake up, if the churches don't wake up, because that's the only answer. The only answer is God at this point. That's it. And if the churches don't wake up and start remembering their responsibility, and people don't start remembering who we actually are as Americans, the whole world plunges into darkness.
Absolutely right. You know, Jonathan Mayhew, Eastern Seaboard minister during the War of Independence, when they were all bagging on him, saying, you know, you need to submit to King George because Romans 13 says submit to all positions of authority that are appointed by God. And he pointed out, he said, yeah, but they're there for our good, the scripture says. And when they cease to do good, they cease to be the authority. And he coined the phrase that inspired the War of Independence. He said, disobedience to tyrants is obedience to God. And we just watched America restore probably another 50 years of liberty because of Charlie Kirk's efforts, inspiring pastors and awakening them. And when they were telling us the church was non-essential in California, Charlie stood by me when I defied the governor. And when you saw that memorial service on Sunday, I'm the first guy who came out, and I was asked to present the gospel and give a call to Christ. And I'm a minister by trade, Glenn. But now I need to run for office because all the politicians were there were preaching the gospel. That's a direct influence of Charlie. When the church stands, good government happens with good people. And there's the largest Christian population in Asia is in Korea. And they have been influenced by these mealy-mouthed ministers in America to just be compliant. And now they need to stand or they're going to lose everything. And that's Mina Kim. In a patriarchal society, this young woman stands. I call her Seabiscuit. She's tiny, but she's mighty.
Oh, yeah.
And she's standing and inspiring an entire generation. This was my third event. I'm the one who brought it to Charlie, like, this girl's getting it done. And she works so hard. And like you said, this is the last thing, but every single one of the sponsors of these companies,
everyone
were threatened. And they churches too, they bailed on her and they left her hanging in the wind. Well, bless you, Glenn, for doing that. I've been calling everybody I know to raise some money for her as well. And you're amazing.
Well, if you care to give to this cause, I mean, she's on the hook for $1 million because they pulled this thing off and then no one wrote the checks. And it's a very big deal. And she sat in my office and she said, I'm going back next week and I'm probably going to be arrested. And I said, can we get you amnesty? Is there anything we can do? You know, let me call Washington and see if she's like, I can't, my family is there. They'll be persecuted. And she said, and it's my country and I've got to stand. So I'm going back. And I'm, you know, I have been looking for people of courage for a long time, real courage. And Charlie was the biggest and best example. And they're starting to come out of the woodwork now. People, they have no idea what they started. I mean, I've never understood darkness doesn't understand the light more than I do right now. It just has no idea what it's doing.
Yeah. Well, you know, we found out today, or at least I was reading yesterday, that YouTube has reinstated conservative accounts that they blocked. They just blocked Mina's account. They shut her down in Korea. They took out her YouTube, and they're trying to remove any ability for her to communicate with the masses. And for anyone who's going to donate thinking you're wasting $1 million, let me just tell you what your money went to. First of all, you're going to keep a warrior alive that's going to continue this fight who's fearless. And secondly, the money that was already spent inspired at least 5,000 Korean young people. Those are the ones you saw on the news chanting, "I am Charlie Kirk." They're ready to go all in. And if you're a believer,
you have no idea. Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
America, you have no idea. You thought that was a nice gesture, and it was. It was so heartening to see that. But you have no idea what those people risked.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it.
I mean,
every one of them is targeted.
It's amazing. They are risking going to jail, their family being persecuted, just for standing with a candle saying, "I am Charlie Kirk." It's incredible what's happening.
And I would say to anyone who has influence over the administration, and we're trying to get up the food chain, Charlie would have an easier job of this. I'm trying. But I would say President Trump,
I will help you. You tell me what you need. I will help you all that I can.
Well, I would just say, President Trump, you gave Korea 15% tariffs. If they're going to be raiding churches and they're going to be imprisoning pastors and threatening the equivalent of Turning Point in Korea, I think 15% is way too low. Let's make them feel the pain. And we're not going to dictate their government, but we can dictate how they're going to do business with us. Make it hurt. So that's my thought.
Pastor, can I call you next week when you're there? And can we?
Yes, and yes again.
Okay. Thank you so much for everything.
We're in this together, Glenn. You bless me more than you know. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Rob. Bye-bye.